Hey there, this is just a follow-up on comedy tip number 2. So this is a little bit of the longer version. If you saw us on Instagram, just know that each week on Instagram we'll post a comedy tip, very short, and then on YouTube we'll have the longer version of it. So I said that if somebody in the audience says something, you don't have to address that, but if you do, say it back into the microphone so that everybody can hear what the audience member said, what the heckler said. So the long version of this is that just because somebody said something that was audible that you could hear doesn't necessarily mean that they were trying to be a problem or trying to heckle you. All ideal audience members would sit very quietly, smiling at you and laughing at every single punchline that you ever hit. But sometimes people are just going to make a little bit of noise. It's human. They might be turning to a friend of theirs and say, repeating your punchline to their friend because they enjoyed it so much. Sometimes it's very innocent. That's why my basic rule for dealing with hecklers is that I'll give them, 3 before I go for the throat. First time, if I feel like I need to talk to them, I'll just be like, hey, listen, I know what I'm doing. I've written these jokes ahead of time. It's fine. You don't have to do anything. And then if after that, the second time, they continue to be a problem, then I might get a little bit meaner, be like, nobody asked you your opinion here. You can just keep quiet. Nobody wants to hear from you. At that point, a lot of times, the crowd will clearly get on your side and kind of cheer and tell them to quiet down. And then the third time, if somebody's still a problem, that's when you can get a little bit meaner. You might be a little bit more insulting, or you might just tell the staff, like, hey, can we get this person to be quiet? Do we have somebody that can come talk to them? Do they need to leave? The other thing about dealing with a heckler, when you repeat what they said back into the microphone, that gives you 2 or 3 seconds to think of how you're going to respond. So now everybody in the audience has heard what was said. They understand what was said. They understand what you're responding to. And you buy yourself a little bit extra time to think of a response. Now, I would say one of the things is don't put too much stock in your response. It doesn't have to be a brilliant shutdown. You don't have to destroy a heckler. Oftentimes, all that you need to do is ask that person to be quiet. Sometimes, if you just ask that person to be quiet, the whole crowd will cheer, depending on how much that crowd likes you. All right, so that's comedy tip number 2. I hope you enjoyed. For more comedy tips and tricks, you can sign up for Blue Ridge Comedy's Stand-Up 101 class if you live in the Bristol area. We have a Stand-Up 101 class where it's 8 weeks long. We go over all kinds of things, writing exercises, we workshop jokes with people, and that at the end of that 8 weeks, we have a graduation show right here at Blue Ridge Comedy Club. And we talk about all this stuff. But each week I'll come out and I'll give you a little bit more for free just here on YouTube, just to, in case you're interested in dabbling in comedy, but don't have the money for a class, or maybe you want to get into comedy, but you live further away from Blue Ridge Comedy Club. Either way, I think this YouTube series could be helpful. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your year. We'll be back. Well, we got another one before the end of the year, but after that, we'll see you in 2023.